Today, I'm really honored to be able to outline a proposal on how we could change our tax code to assure that more high-wage jobs are created in this great kind of company that exists throughout North Carolina and throughout our country. I really do appreciate the hospitality that you all have shown me today, and I'm glad to be here. Today, as we meet, America's economy is barely moving forward, and American working families are falling behind. We've had 6 full years of tax increases, endless new regulation, vast new federal programs, and $8 trillion borrowed and spent. And what has it gotten us? This so-called new normal of slow growth and flat wages and millions of men and women, oftentimes in the prime of their working lives, who've lost all hope of a good, high-paying job. It's easy for politicians and academics to go on and on about this new normal in America and how we all might have to just get used to it. They talk as if it's the best our country can do, when in truth, it's just the best that the progressive liberals can do. And to state the obvious, the new normal is not good enough, not even close. Hillary Clinton doesn't believe we can grow faster than 2%. Because she doesn't believe in your ability to rise to the challenge. This is a debate I welcome, because the difference between the Democrats' new normal and my vision for high sustained economic growth is pretty simple to state. The new normal is more businesses going under than starting up, which is where we are right now. My plan for the entire economy will create a true revival of the private sector and 19 million new jobs. The new normal, please. The new normal is a comfortable ride for the affluent people living on their portfolios. They're doing fine. My plan will help those that live on their paychecks who haven't seen a raise in a while. And it means the American dream will be possible for millions who have forgotten what it looks like. The point is that some numbers matter a great deal, and our economic nation's growth rate is one of them. The difference between 2% and 4% growth is this. At 2%, we'll stay where we are, with millions on the sidelines falling behind. At 4% growth, we grow at a pace that lifts up everybody, and there's no excuse for not trying. We need to jumpstart our economy. And we can do that by fixing our broken tax code. It's a disaster. We all know it. 80,000 pages of mind-numbing rules. To otherwise identical taxpayers, you could have totally different tax bills because of all the deductions and credits and exclusions that apply to some, but not to all. It's a tax code that only an army of accountants and lobbyists would love because they've written it. It's full of special favors, carve-outs, phase-outs, and subsidies that we all pay for, one way or the other. And of all the terrible things that can be said about our tax code, and I can think of a few, the worst is probably this. It punishes people for doing things we should encourage and rewards people for doing things that may not be so good. It taxes paychecks hard, but gives companies a write-off for debt. The current tax code makes it easier to borrow than to build. And I believe it's time we build for the future, not borrow from it. So today I'm here to explain how I want to fix a broken tax code. My plan works whether you're on Main Street or Wall Street. No special favors, no special breaks. Fixing the tax code will take constant attention and effort. And I know what that requires because I did it when I was governor of Florida. When I was governor, we cut taxes every year I was in office, totaling $19 billion. And to remind everybody, we didn't have an income tax, so it had to be pretty committed to make sure we kind of cut those taxes. We were one of 2 states to see our credit rating go up to AAA during my time. Compare that to the sorry state of affairs in Washington, D.C., where we sadly have seen a downgrade. And our economy blossomed. It grew by 4.4% per year during my 8 years. Florida created 1.3 million new jobs. We led the nation in small business creation, and household incomes rose $1,300 a year. by the end of the time, where people can make decisions about their own lives. That prosperity was shared, and there was less people living in poverty because we created a climate of high sustained economic growth. That is the record I want to bring to Washington, D.C., and it can be repeated. I reject the pessimism of the left that thinks that we just have to get used to slow economic growth and become more dependent upon government. I hope you reject that as well. Here are the key elements of the plan that I'll submit to Congress and sign into law as the Reform and Growth Act of 2017. Let's start with personal taxes. Taxes should be lower, simpler, fair, and clear. We will start by reducing the number of tax brackets from 7 to 3. The new rates will be 10, 25, and 28%. The highest rate set at 28%, by doing that, will return to the structure enacted by President Reagan in his monumental and successful 1986 tax reform. That one worked out pretty good, as I recall. In fact, it worked really well, and it could work again. Next, we will nearly double the standard deduction, which roughly 2/3 of all tax filers claim. Retire the alternative minimum tax, which is a phantom tax increase on millions of Americans every year. Get this, you have to fill, many of you have to do this. You get a headache filling out your form the first time, then you have to do it again to make sure that the alternative minimum tax is not as high as the other tax, and most of the time it is. We'll expand and reform the earned income tax credit to deal with young people that right now are stuck without getting the first rung of the ladder. We'll eliminate the workers' share of Social Security tax for seniors. People over the age of 67, they've already paid into the system. They've sent enough of their paychecks into the system. We'll end the marriage penalty, and we'll end the death tax once and for all. That's for you. We will limit the amount of deductions that wealthy people and other itemizers can take, other than charitable contributions. Finally, we will improve the climate for savers in this country by removing the 3.8% Obamacare savings tax. And we will cut the rates on capital gains back to 20%, the rate they were at when President Clinton was in office. I think we all know the same old song the left will sing about this plan. In fact, it's already in the blogosphere. The Twitter feed is going crazy right now. I know what they're going to say. I didn't have to wait. So let's get the record straight up front. Under my plan, bills will be going down, tax bills will. But those earning $200,000 or more will bear a greater share of our income tax burden than they do today. So the top 5% will bear a greater share, and the top 10% as well. Meanwhile, here's the impact on working families. They already are nickeled and dimed by a government that taxes everything under the sun: sales taxes, gas taxes, and property taxes. So under my plan, a family of 4 with an income below $40,000 won't pay any income taxes at all other than the payroll tax. Taken together, you for that? I hope you are. Look, taken together, this plan moves money out of the hands of politicians in Washington, D.C. and gives it back to hardworking Americans like you who will use the money they save for their own priorities, not government's priorities. And while we'll help make it easier for individuals and families to make ends meet, we're going to help American companies compete as well. For too long, U.S. businesses have operated with the highest tax rate in the industrialized world. It's no wonder that so many have moved overseas and taken thousands of jobs with them. There's a simple way to fix this problem. First, we will bring the corporate tax rate from 35%, the highest corporate tax rate in the industrial world, down to 20%, which is below that of China. Next, we will end the extra taxation of profits earned overseas. We'll stop the practice, which most of the world has already abandoned, of worldwide taxation. This will allow the $2 trillion now held overseas by U.S. businesses to come home with a one-time tax. Monies that will be invested in this country, building new plant and equipment, creating higher wage jobs for Americans. You've probably been reading about this, but this move will end the insidious trend of what they call inversions, where small overseas companies buy bigger U.S. companies that both enjoy the lower possible tax rate, costing us jobs and tax revenues in our country. For once, the United States will be a low-tax place to do business and create high-wage jobs. And finally, we'll put Main Street and Wall Street on even footing. We will allow businesses to fully deduct new capital investment in the first year, something that will help businesses buy equipment, build factories, and invest in other growth. At the same time, we'll take away the tax deductions for corporate borrowing. Look, if your business model depends on heavy debt and leverage, that's your choice. Under my plan, you'll pay for it. Taken together, this plan will bring tax revenue and high-wage jobs back to America where they belong. Now, those on the left, and even some people who call themselves Republicans these days, will tell you that to save U.S. jobs, we have to throw up a bunch of walls and tariffs and protect our businesses from competition. That's a siren call of surrender, and I won't go for it, and I hope you won't either. Protectionism has never worked. It forces prices up. It restricts choices. It kills jobs. Look, sales there create jobs here. And fighting to get rid of trade restrictions overseas is the best way. In fact, it's the only way we can help our companies compete, win, and create jobs right here in North Carolina, in the United States. If we build the best possible business climate and then fight to tear down barriers, no one can compete with the United States businesses in this world. No one can do it. We are still the most dynamic country on the face of the earth. Rather than focus on the rest of the problems that really aren't the problem, let's focus on where the real problem is. Washington, D.C. is holding us back. Giving bureaucrats more power over the economy is only going to make things worse. That's the problem. The way we bring jobs back to America is to take power out of Washington and give it back to the American people by allowing them to have more of their hard-earned money. Through hard work, and ingenuity and know-how, as we have always done, we will compete with the world, and yeah, we will win. Senator Clinton and Mr. Trump may not believe we can do it, but I sure as heck do, and I know you do as well. A radical change to our tax code like this will mean so much for so many Americans. It will lead to prosperity that everyone will share in. I'm thinking of two folks from South Carolina, Jonathan and Reagan Love. What a name, Reagan Love. I love that name. Jonathan serves our nation in the Army National Guard. Reagan's a school teacher. They're from Chester, South Carolina, but are living in Oklahoma this year while Jonathan's on duty. This tax plan would save them $2,300, cutting their income tax liability in half. And that's money they'll use to open up a business when they come home from his service back to South Carolina. For Jonathan, Reagan, and millions of others like you, a plan like this will make all the difference, making it easier for workers to earn success. And when they do, they'll keep more of what they earn. It will also help businesses like this one. Morrison Associates makes products that are part of people's lives. They cool everything from chickens to nuclear power plants. It's a growing company with 100 employees, 70 of them right here in Garner. When you're a business owner, the federal government is your partner, but Uncle Sam only shares in your profit and in none of the risks and in none of the costs. My plan will make it easier for a business like Bill's or yours to buy more equipment, to hire more workers, and to increase wages. Precisely what you deserve, and precisely what it'll take to grow our economy. That's the direction. That's the direction we should move. That's the aspiration we should share. That's a goal we can all achieve. And that's what I will do as your President of the United States. Thank you all very much. Thanks for allowing me to come. Thank you.